Welcome to The Whole Pack, where we challenge black and white thinking and holistic pet care and dive into the controversial topics everyone's thinking about but nobody's saying out loud. I'm Sunny Gandera.
And I'm Melissa Sherman, and we are two holistic pet health practitioners here to prove that holistic care can include critical thinking, self-care, and yes, even Western medicine when needed. This is a judgment-free community we wish we'd had when we started our journey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Whole Pack podcast. So today we're doing a little different type of podcast, right? We should have probably done this in the beginning because Melissa and I have been co-hosting together for a while now, and we're talking about all kinds of topics, but we realized we never actually sat down and properly introduced what the other one does. So you may know us and have an idea of what we do and what we specialize in, but not maybe as in-depth as we're going to go today. And, you know, it's easy to assume people already know when in reality, someone could be listening to the podcast for the first time today and have no idea that Melissa is a fantastic animal communicator and energy healer who I use myself for my animals. But what does it mean in practice, you know? So today I am turning the tables. I am interviewing Melissa, and I want to ask her the questions that I really think our listeners are curious about, including some that I'm curious about myself, because even after all this time we've spent together, there's still things about her work that I find fascinating and I want to understand more deeply. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to just be transparent about why we do what we do, how our practices may connect, and why we believe that nutrition and energy work are not separate things pulling in different directions, but just really two parts of the same conversation about animal health. So Melissa, welcome to the hot seat.
Thank you. The other side of the mic here.
Yes, very excited. And I always love listening to you when you do your workshops and talking about energy healing, because I can just see how passionate you are about it. And it truly makes me so happy. I've told you so many times about seeing you blossom into who you're supposed to be and how, you know, what your mission on this planet is. And so, you know, when we talk about energy healing, it's something a lot of people have heard about, and certainly, you know, in our audience, but I don't know if many people really understand it. So what does energy healing actually mean to you? What do you think it is?
So first, it's an umbrella term. You know, it encompasses so many different modalities, from Qigong to Reiki to animal communication as a form of energy work. And what it is you're the practitioner. Is not, so a lot of times we're called healers, but it's really, we're facilitating, we're channeling, and we're tapping into this universal energy, and we're working with that subtle energy, channeling it through us and helping give that to the person or the animal so their body can receive it and find this place of healing. So on a, you know, more scientific level, it is putting your nervous system from fight or flight or a stress into the parasympathetic rest and digest. So what it does is invite the energy of the other being to come into that space so their own body can then do the healing. So the simplest of terms would be, it's kind of a reset for the nervous system, which is incredible. I mean, for myself, it's the first time I had quiet from the anxiety. I was such an anxious person, and I had a Reiki session because I was in that mode of, I'll try anything. I don't even know what this is, and I'm going to try it. And it was the first time my brain quieted. And at that point, I wanted to learn everything about it, but it wasn't until I started living and breathing Reiki and different energy modalities, that I really could just see a shift in myself. And that's just myself. But the things that I see around me in my own animals, in clients' animals, is astounding. I mean, it's amazing. So it lights me up, of course.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And every time you talk about it and I hear it, and it's just such an underutilized modality, because it's something that we can't see. It's not something tangible. So I'm also guilty of that. It's not the first thing I naturally go to. It's like, oh, I need to eat better. I need to exercise. But as you said, the nervous system is really number one. I mean, if you can't regulate that, everything else is like, forget it, right? So you were in a spot where there was no other thing. I'm ready to try anything. So I think that your mission is to like, no, let that be the first thing you do before we, try everything else, right? But so,
Yeah.
And I love what you said about, because I'm also in this world, but like I love what you're saying, that you're facilitating, like you're not necessarily using the word healer sometimes, because that makes it sound like maybe some people are a little bit skeptical to that, because there are a lot of different people in this space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yes. So sometimes you'll hear me use the term, and it's kind of like the term pet. Like, I don't like the term pet, but everybody uses it.
Yeah.
People recognize it. So if I say I work in energy healing or I'm an energy healer, people understand that. For some reason, if I say energy practitioner, they're like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
It just changes it, so it clicks them out of it. So sometimes I think people use that language because it is more approachable. I do think there are some people that are in their ego and maybe they don't realize that they're not actually the one healing.
Yeah.
But that's another episode,
Yes.
isn't it?
No, I think that is such a wonderful thing about you, because you're just keeping the attention on your, whoever you're helping, right? And you're just, like you said, I'm the facilitator, which makes me feel a lot more comfortable. But before I make it about myself, I want to talk about, like, so, okay, say someone says, you know what, I want to try this. I'm going to book an energy session with Melissa. So what actually happens? Like, what does that look like once they're booking? What's going on?
So the first thing is, it can be done in person. Most of my sessions are done at a distance, and that is just, the rules of energy. There is no time and space. It can travel time and space, right? So I could be sitting here and I'm holding that intention and holding that space for them. So there's preparation for me. I mean, like I said, I have to live and breathe this. I mean, I get to live and breathe this. It is definitely a different way to live. I wake up, I do Qigong, I do meditate, I do any animals that I'm working with, or humans. I do work with humans that I'm working with that day. I will, if I have their picture, I'll put their picture on my altar and invite them in. So I'm already opening up this sacred energy space for them. Mm-hmm. And then I have a Reiki table, or it's like a massage table. It's the same thing that I do set up. I set up the different colors of the chakras, and I put crystals on it, and I will work with that table when I'm working with the individual. Who is that? Whether it's an animal or a person, and then I'm letting the energy channel through me and kind of guide me as to what needs to be done. So some of my modalities are Reiki, where it is just more of an open invitation where I'm welcoming them to step into that energy. Some of them, I do psychic surgeries or scalar wave, which is more, I'm running through things. I'm running the energy through things. So it's more, there's more intuitive guidance there. There's more stuff going on inside. It's not just an invitation to come in.
Yeah.
But it's always sacred. It's always beautiful. And the things that come up sometimes, so it is a different space. Energy healing is a deeper level than animal communication is. So animal communication, I'm mostly communicating with telepathy. There is intuition. There is intuitive energy exchange. However, when I go deeper into that energy, sometimes there still are messages that come up. Sometimes I will be drawn to certain physical aspects of them that I can then share with, the guardian of that animal or the person. If it is a person, right? Like, because I do work with, so some of the shamanic stuff I do, I've been starting to use it with animals as well. And it's incredible. So it's, extracting blocks, extracting things that, if you have a fearful animal and they might have some kind of trauma, they have that belief in their chakras, in their energy system, in their body. So these crystal extractions can help pull that out of the body. And it's incredible. I mean, again, I could go on for days. So
no, and you know what? It's like, if you're skeptical to that, I'm always thinking about like how animals adapt especially our companion animals that live with us. They adapt our, everything, right? From any physical and emotional state. So I can only imagine how the shamanic work will help them as well. And I've personally been a client of yours, and you've sent me photos of your Reiki table with the colors, and it's absolutely amazing. And I felt as a person so much more relaxed after your session, even though you were technically working on the pets. So I want to get into that, but before, I want to just kind of going into what can energy healing, like you're telling me how this looks like, but what can actually energy healing help with, and when do people typically come to you for that?
So, I mean, it can range from end of life, offering comfort. Maybe there's a chronic illness. Maybe it's age. They're aging, and this can bring in a level of comfort where they can rest through the night, where they can sleep. Anxious or nervous dogs and cats, the same thing. It can help regulate their nervous system, help them remind their nervous system what a state of calm feels like. Because some of them, if they've come from a challenging background, they might not even remember what that feels like. Same thing for humans. A lot of us have been in fight or flight for years, decades. We don't even know what it looks like to not be there, not be operating in excess. So having that invitation and that reminder of where we can be, how it can be, and at that state, because something else that energy healing is doing is it's rebalancing. There's imbalances in the body that cause stress, that cause anxiety, that cause physical disorders. So reminding what balance feels like, looks like, and it's, again, the body knows what to do. So it is about facilitating that reminder.
Yeah, exactly. And that's almost like everyone who's listening who is a holistic pet health practitioner, that's all we are doing. We're trying to bring the body back into balance. So we also have to think about energy, not just nutrition and all of that thing. So I think that is a wonderful way of putting it. So I mentioned the human side of it, and you said you do work with humans, but and you almost always include the guardians somehow. And why is that? Why do you include them?
I think it's important for them to be involved because that's where the energy exchange is starting. It's starting with that you're booking a session. So you're believing in the hope that that change is possible. So right there, you're opening up something. You're opening up a different channel that might not have been there before. You're inviting a different way of seeing things in. So that initial energy exchange helps. But then I ask them to set an intention. What is the intention for this session? That gets them also thinking more expansive, more possibility. It's a belief. The whole thing with energy healing is that intention. So we start with the guardian. What is your intention for this session? And then I repeat that throughout the whole thing. I'll even write it on a piece of paper and have it on, the Reiki table just as a reminder. But what I found when I was working, I work with a lot of sensitive dogs and cats. They're very fearful. They can't. People come to me because it's like, why can't I do certain things that other people can do so easily because my dog or cat is XYZ? It's about helping them return to, a baseline that isn't fight or flight.
Right.
So sometimes they are mirroring the guardian. They're mirroring us. If, like I mentioned before, if we've been running in this fight or flight for so long, our dogs and cats are picking up on that constantly. Those have been my greatest teachers, is my own animals, because here I thought I had it. I knew what I was doing. I thought I was living and breathing energy work. And, I have a couple of cats and a couple of dogs that showed me I wasn't. They showed me where I wasn't and how I could live differently. Because of what they taught me, I was able to see that is the biggest piece. And when I work with clients and they really don't want to do any kind of energy work for themselves and they're super anxious, they don't see the same progress in their animals that someone that does also do the work for themselves sees.
Yeah.
So it's really important to understand that us as guardians, we're a huge piece of the puzzle, and not to blame. You'll hear me say that over and over. I'm not blaming you. We live in a crazy world, and a lot of our nervous systems are fried to the point we don't even recognize it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we can return ourselves, we're now a vessel that offers that safety for our animals.
And I think a big part of that work is making humans realize that they are such a big part of our companions' world. I mean, we are all they have. Like, I mean, all they're exposed to, essentially. Like, that we decide when they go out, what they do, when they eat. And so if we are in a state of fight or flight, obviously that's going to translate to them. And I love what you said about, and you say that a lot in your work, is that, I learn from animals are our teachers. And I think that is also a shift for many, perhaps not a lot of them, people listening who are in this field. However, instead of saying like, I know best what's best for my animal, and turning it around and being like, what open yourself up to what can I learn from animals, because they are so wise. And that's part of the healing too, right? The energy work.
It really is, because it's, I was doing a meditation, I was in meditation, and I got this vision of dogs standing at this doorway, a dog and a cat kind of like opening a doorway to us. And it was like, come along, come see how we can live. See, like they're inviting us to be better versions of ourselves. And if we're walking around with blinders and not, doing inner work on ourselves, we're walking around like this. How can we fix my dog? How can I fix my dog? We're missing so much of it, because a lot of it starts with us, and they're here to show us that. So this, this vision that I saw was them inviting us into this world where we are able to stop and acknowledge these things. We are able to be present. We are able to stop doing 24 hours a day, because some of us are even doing in our sleep, right? Like we're listening to stuff so we can like subconsciously do the next day, right? So I really believe they are our greatest teachers, and each animal that comes into your life will have a different lesson for you. I believe they are here on their own journeys. They're sentient beings. But I do believe that we're in their life for something, and they're in our lives for something. So
absolutely,
be curious and find out what that is.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's beautiful. Thank you. And, it just makes me, just happy to hear that, because I think they are wise, and I see that in my own dogs all the time. Like, they are showing me. Nacho was my biggest teacher, hence why I'm on this journey. So you are really just saying what I thought, and like, maybe I'm crazy, but no, it's really, the world gets so much richer with them in it. And when we can start to learn to understand each other, our relationships will, just be so much deeper. So that's wonderful. So, but I want to go to a little different sort of part, because I feel like there's still people who are kind of skeptical, and there's a lot of myths and misconception about energy healing. So what do you wish more people knew about this modality?
Well, I'll start with, I wish people would be open to it instead of just shutting it down. Because there's still times my mind gets blown where I'm still like, I don't understand how that happened, but it happened. And, that's the biggest thing, is just really being open. Some people think it's a last resort. And like you said, why are we not starting with this? That's how I feel too. Because it is something that is really part of, if you have a dog or cat that maybe does have physical issues, has a chronic disease, and you're doing all the things, are you also supporting their nervous system? What are you doing to support their nervous system? Because that's where an energy modality could come in and support them, whether it's you're doing this yourself or you have a practitioner do it. I do think the benefit of working with someone is it gives us a time to have a break for ourselves, where we know that someone is holding that space for our animal and caring for them. So, I get feedback like that too, that you even said it just now. We're working with Tofu, but you could feel the difference too, because it is that second where you're like, oh my gosh, I can take a breath because I know someone is with her right now and caring about her and doing all the things and, holding that space for her. So, a lot of people think it's just Reiki. So Reiki is definitely accessible to a lot of people. It has been spread in a very accessible way. I think it's fantastic. That is a great entry for anyone that's looking for developing this for your own practice or for yourself. But there are so many things like emotional freedom technique, the shamanic techniques I'm talking about, bioscalar wave, qigong. I mean, I could go on for years with listing, so I won't.
No, I mean, I meant to say that earlier, that I love that you are just like knee deep in so many different, and you've studied it in depth, so many different modalities, and you can use all of those. So I highly recommend anyone listening, like if you want to go, a practitioner that just is kind of living and breathing this and just has so many different specialties, Melissa is your girl, because I really I get a lot of inspiration from you. And whenever I hear you sort of like, embrace this, it's just a reminder for myself too, to embrace it. And we've both been in the Reiki, training together, but you're also now a teacher. So, you are doing that as well. But you sort of hinted at the whole thing about, you sometimes get surprised about energy healing. So is there a specific instance, or you do get still surprised, as you said, and I think that's obvious, because it is such an incredible thing. But was there a time when you were like, holy, I almost don't believe it, but I see it, like this is real?
Yeah. So that's another misconception, I think, is people think that it has to be this big thing for it to be working, or you have to feel something, and not everybody feels it when it's happening. It's the subtle changes. That said, I've worked with, I'll talk about one animal in particular. It was a senior animal, and, she hadn't slept through the night. The only time she was doing anything is when she was walking around at night. During the day, she wouldn't get up. She was in a lot of pain. And, a few hours after the session was done, her guardian reached out to me that she was running around. She wanted to eat. She was jumping on the couch. This was a dog that was not mobile.
Wow.
And now she has like this, whoosh, she has the zoomies. I mean, and this was a dog that was really, she's at end of life. There is another dog that, she had an accident at a dog sitter, and, this cord got stuck in her mouth. She had a horrible infection. Of course, this happened. It was a dog sitter, so the family was away. I mean, they were out of the country on top of it. So it was a very stressful situation where they left the vet and didn't have much hope. So yes, again, that's when I got the call, because they were just like, I don't know what else to do. I just want to help comfort her, and I don't really know what they're going to do next. They don't know what they're going to do next. She started eating that day. I mean, we did the session and she started eating. And when she went back 2 days later and had the vet check, they were like, I don't know why she's doing so well. We never expected this. It's a miracle. And I'll tell you, it feels like a miracle, but I think that's why sometimes there's an ego with it, because there's like this, it's, a miracle happened. Well, all I did was facilitate the energy to the dog, who her own body created this miracle. So it's just fascinating. I mean, that's the kind of stuff where, they come to me and it feels like they're just so close to giving up on everything. And then to see their dog make that little turn. I mean, this was not a little turn. They thought they were going to have to do some major surgery and remove body parts. Wow. So the fact that they were like, is this even the same dog? Is that, to me, is okay. I don't know how, but she did this, right? Her body facilitated the healing. So that's what's just, I could listen to that all day long, right?
Yes,
those
absolutely.
they are miracles. And
right.
It is, our bodies, their bodies have the ability to heal ourselves if we're given the right environment to do it in.
So well put. Yeah. And miracles do happen every day. Those are some incredible examples. Thank you for sharing those with us. But so if someone listening has been curious about energy healing, but they're not sure where to begin, what would you tell them?
So I I usually start with an animal communication if we're looking for your animal. And, we can talk about where they're at, what might be the best modality to work with, because sometimes it's something like EFT where it is more of a somatic type. You're tapping on energy points on the body. It's a little different than me doing a distance session. So an animal communication would be the best place to start. But I do also have, a new offering for sensitive cats, sensitive dogs, and it's a program that involves the guardian. So really, we're going to just have a discovery. We're going to talk about where you're at, where they're at, with an animal communication, of course, and kind of go from there. But it's a full everything is personalized, but it fully supports your journey and their journey as to how you can come to a place where we don't have to live in this chaos, this this fight or flight or this stress all the time. It's just a way forward, and it's a 60-day program where we communicate a lot, but there's work to be done. So that is really for people that are looking, they're ready to make a change. But if you just want to dip your toe in it, start with an animal communication.
Yeah.
And then, just see where they're at and what modality would be the best for them from there.
That sounds amazing. And I do love that it's personalized, so you don't have to feel intimidated. Like, I know nothing, but I'm just curious. You can still come and you'll adapt accordingly, right? So I know
Exactly.
You're a fantastic teacher. So regardless of what level you're at, Melissa is the one I always recommend her to people. And so with that said, where can people find you, get in touch with you, apart from obviously through the Whole Pack podcast? But
So my website is calmingcreek.com. My email, you can email me, melissa@calmingcreek.com. And I'm on all the socials at Calming Creek.
great, fantastic. Well, this has been fantastic, and I would love to invite you back for an episode about the shamanic portion of what you do, because I find that is so fascinating. I'm just starting to dip my toes in it myself for humans, not for necessarily animals, but now that you're doing both, I think that is like something I want to learn more about. But let us know what you liked best about this episode. What would you like to learn more from Melissa? Send us a question. We are on Substack, we're on all the social media, on the Whole Pack podcast, and of course, we welcome any suggestions for anything else topic related that you would like to us to discuss. So Melissa, it has been such a wonderful time with you today. We can go on and on, but so we're just trying to give you a little taste, but I really enjoyed listening to you, and keep doing the great work you're doing for both humans and animals. We need more of what you have to offer. So with that, yes, of course. And we will see you next week for another episode of The Whole Pack. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Before we go, we want to remind you that the information shared on The Whole Pack is for educational purposes only and is not intended to replace veterinary medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your veterinarian before making any changes to your pet's diet, supplements, or healthcare routine. Every animal is unique, and what works for one may not be appropriate for another. We're here to empower you with knowledge, but your vet is your partner in your pet's individual care.